back to my Astroneer playthrough. I just took another trip to Nervous and Calidor to pick up a first batch of gases. I'm going to use the hydrogen right away to run a couple of tests and craft some much needed resources. In between episodes, I set up the gas collection, installed the ammonium and graphite supply, and then I laid out the platforms, auto arms and chemistry labs that make up the bottom part of our AMPP factory. That's the part that produces diamonds, and I've got lots of questions. But let me first explain how I think this setup is going to work. Over there is where the ammonium and graphite are brought in. The ammonium is picked up by this first auto arm and deposited onto the platform where it's turned into hydrazine. Did I already set it up? I did. Graphite takes the back route. It's picked up by this auto arm, deposited onto this intermediate storage, and then moved to the same platform as where the hydrazine will end up. There, both resources are combined into graphene. The graphene is picked up by this auto arm, deposited onto the next platform where it's turned into diamond, then moved onto the last platform where the automatons will be printed. I'll pick them up myself, place them onto the extra request platform and send them off. Maybe I should move this a bit to the right. There. But as I said, I have lots of questions. First of all, should I use a bigger platform to house the first part of the chain where the hydrazine and graphene are produced? I started printing a big platform. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. I moved it back out of the way. Anyway, I'd started printing it and then I changed my mind yet again. I fear if I were to use it, the wrong resources could end up all over the platform, potentially blocking the entire production chain. Also, do I need to double up this entire first part where the graphene is being produced? I need 2 graphene to make 1 diamond, meaning the diamonds will get produced a lot slower than the resipound. I'm worried the factory is gonna get bottlenecked on this end. It may be better to add another hydrazine and graphene production arm somewhere at the back so that I can deliver both graphenes to the diamond chemistry lab at the same time. Note that I may have another bottleneck on my hands already because I need 2 ammonium to create the hydrazine while the graphite needs no processing whatsoever. There's a risk the storage at the start of the graphene production platform is going to fill up with graphite, leaving no space for the hydrazine to get dropped off, and then the graphene production will come to a halt. I have some ideas on how to fix that, but I'll get back to that later. Question 3. Is this going to work? Is this auto arm going to feed the hydrogen to the chemistry lab and the chemistry lab only? Or is it going to flood the entire platform? Question 4. Can I put the auto arms on the same platform like I've done here? Or does it need its own little platform, which takes up a lot more space? I would prefer the first option, as long as it doesn't cause any bottlenecks. There's only one way to find answers to these questions, and that's to run a test. I'm going to need graphene in order to power the factory, so I'm going to let that part of the production line run, stopping right before diamond crafting. If I can get that far without any trouble, I'm sure the last bit will also work. Now, am I going to use the ammonium and graphite I've already collected? Or do I make it a more elaborate test? Not sure. I'm going to do a full test. I've already had both the graphite and the ammonium extractors run, but never at the same time. It's going to be interesting to see if there's a difference in production speed. I suspect not, but there's a big difference in quality between the ammonium and the graphite deposits, so who knows, maybe it does have an impact. What's making all that noise? A big platform. Not sure how that happened. If you ever hear noises like that in your game, it's because a box, platform or machine has become unstable for some reason and has started bouncing around. Move it to a flat surface and the noise should stop. The ammonium graphite production line has been running for a while. Most often the train brings in one resource each, sometimes two, and sometimes it's a mix. But the overall production rate is the same for both extractors. The graphite flooding the graphene platform is indeed a thing, and it will get worse the longer the factory runs. But if I speed up the ammonium production, I might be able to solve that problem. I have been having power issues, which is to be expected with only one large and one extra large wind turbine running both the base and the factory. Anyway, this test has run long enough. Oh wow, the train's really slow. Good thing I was gonna tackle the power supply next. The graphene I just created will be used to craft 8 extra large wind turbines that I'll dot around the valley. But first I want to try the hydrogen supply again. I moved to auto arm twice already during the test, but hydrogen kept flooding the platform. And now it's flooding the other platform. Nevertheless, that's progress, because that means if I move this a tiny little bit more, at least I hope that's what it means. Success. I've put up 2 extra large wind turbines over there, and then if you give me a moment, there's 2 more this way. From a distance, it looks as if they're not working, but if I get closer, they are indeed operational. I guess it's some sort of render thing. While I wait for the other extra large wind turbines to print, I'm gonna start working on the top part of the factory, the arm that creates the resipound. I've yet to put in the auto extractors and rail line, as I want to figure out first where all the platforms need to go. That's gonna determine where the drop-off station will need to be, and then I'll work backwards, or downwards in this case. It's gonna take a lot of time, so I'll be doing this off camera. Join me again next episode. Maybe, hopefully, that's the one in which I'll get the whole event going.